Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Ben.
And this is Blake.
And you are listening to episode 10 of the Nothing New podcast. We're a podcast that emphasizes how doing the small things will help you turn the corner with your health, your business, and every other area in your life that you seem fit.
Boom.
That's a very fitting boom, because we are standing here in the midst of the Avenu Coffee Shop with old boy Java James, who slangs Boomtown coffee out of this place. So what's up, everybody? What's up, James?
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me on the show.
Thanks for coming.
It's a pleasure to have you, sir. So today we're going to be talking all about like building rapport and the importance of relationships, and that can be business, it can be personal, whatever it is, but to show that how everything that you do every single day can have a great impact down the road, however you want to look at it. And so James, we'll call him Java. I don't even know how to describe you right now.
Majestic.
It's just Java James.
Majestic. The majestic Java James, but really kind of breaking down that he has the perfect story when it comes to looking at the importance of relationships and how they can benefit you and the other person down the road.
It's a fun fact before we get going, James.
Let's hear it.
People tend to work best with people they know and trust. And I think about when you first started here, I was like, okay, this guy, started as an intern. We didn't have that trust yet. And then all of a sudden we were like, man, this guy, we felt like you knew everybody. Like anytime we had this idea, you're like, oh, well, I know somebody that does that, does this or that. So this is why, one reason why we wanted to talk to you about the rapport thing is your story is awesome. And we know that you have much expertise in this, even though you maybe don't see it that way.
Well, yeah, what's funny about it is I used to always get in trouble as a young kid for being a social butterfly and knowing this and knowing that, talking maybe too much out of turn in grade school and all that good stuff. But it's funny how things turn around and come full circle. And now it's almost a strength. We're having all these connections able to be put together and kind of fine-tuned and massaged into something greater, which, as we were just talking about, this is almost like a self-reflection type of talk now that we're in the Avenu Coffee Shop and we're talking about things that can be kind of grown organically, So just like you said, trust and connections, I think rapport and connections can kind of go in two different routes, where there's a long-term trust that you build over time with a certain individual, whether you're training them or you're teaching them nutritional facts or business relationship there, or you have this instant chemistry with someone that you meet. And for my side of the story with the whole Boomtown Coffee and meeting Matt Toomey, the owner of Boomtown, it was just an instant chemistry. We kind of hit it off. Him and I are both very animated. We use our hands whenever we obviously whenever we talk to each other. We're
Crazy
explaining
hands.
something. We have crazy handshakes. And it's just from minute one, we were talking about sports, food, coffee, the whole bit. Like within 10 minutes, I was like, I want this guy to be at my wedding type of scenario, And
What an honor.
it really is.
After 10 minutes, that's pretty
10 minutes.
That's huge.
Hey, man.
You guys, not so much. I don't know.
That's fair. But, okay, so you said you met this dude. Now, obviously, you never knew that this was going to come out of it. Did you have that clue that, like, hey, maybe down the road, whatever, he's obviously somebody that I want to continue to know, continue to hang out with, whatever. But, like, I mean, we're standing in the midst of what was an idea, and it is now a fully functional coffee shop. And so, I mean, really kind of break down that story.
I mean, at first, I had no idea that this would lead to anything. When we first met, it was just more of, hey, man, this is a cool guy. He's a righteous dude. We like the same basketball team, and he's funny, and I want to be around him. And that's all it was initially.
There was no interest in coffee yet, basically.
No interest in coffee.
Even.
I wasn't even, honestly, I wasn't a big coffee drinker until I met him, because he kind of really introduced me to the whole craft coffee side of things, where there is actually a non-commercial side of coffee. And the connection was honestly made through his cousin, who I went to college with. We were in the same program. I helped her study. We helped each other out. And that was more of that long-term, I knew her for a year or two, that long-term trust that we built with each other. Like, hey, I have a great experience every time I'm with him, as far as I'm learning something. There's knowledge behind it, experience. And she's like, you know what? You're exactly like my cousin. You guys should meet. And that's from that side of things. We almost have lost touch with each other because Matt and I have hit it off so well.
That's kind of interesting. It's like I think stressing the importance of like a recommendation from somebody you trust. And so you think about like how many of your friends out there who have, or business partners, however you want to look at it, like, hey, you should really meet so-and-so. And so you're going to take that with more of a grain, or you're going to take that idea, that introduction, you're going to believe in it, and you're going to be more likely to put yourself into that versus like if some dude you just met is like, hey, you should really meet this guy. No, it's just not going to happen.
You're going to write them off for sure.
And so I think it's kind of an interesting way to look at it. And so for the people that are listening, when they are either referencing out or they're just passing along a business card, you want to make sure that you're coming from that good place and you're establishing trust with the people that you're referring out, because that's going to benefit not only you but that person, and they're going to get a lot more out of that referral because they know it's from somebody they trust. And so, I mean, for you to get that from his cousin has led to this relationship now to where, I mean, if we could have a coffee shop.
Was this something that when you first met Matt, I know you said y'all hit it off, really well, but was it something that like, okay, I'm gonna definitely hang out with this guy again and continue my, this relationship?
Or at his wedding.
Was it seriously that?
I would say so, just based on the fact that, man, he's just a cool guy to be around, and I feel like
share the same common interest.
He is a little bit older than myself, and I've always had something about all of my friends growing up have always been older, so it's something about learning from someone who's been there. Like let's, he's been around the block, so I bet you there's something I can learn. And I have some fascination with that, and more I find myself having older friends. I can learn something, meet someone new, and it always typically turns into something, whether it's a long-term relationship, or that instant chemistry. So, we had no idea that we would ever turn this into a coffee thing. It's just Ben here started with his nutritional program at the same time that I got hired on. And, like you said, you're like, hey, James knows this or that. Well, let me pull on, my Rolodex of connections and see what I could do to conjure up some business or people to point us in the right direction. And, we had Matt come out and cater a few events, a couple of dinners. We started selling his beans, and then before we knew it, people really started to feel the buzz, not literally, but, with caffeine and whatnot. But we started to really get a lot of feedback as far as, they enjoy the product. Where can I get it? How come there's not one here? I want it now. And it just started to really get traction over time. And, we kind of built that into a greater ideal.
So what was the, what helped you finally decide like, hey, I'm going to bring this to Brent and Cassie and say like, let's move forward with this. Matt's going to help us out. What was the determining
tipping point?
What was the tipping point?
Him and I, after so many successful runs obviously we brought in Boomtown to do some catering when we had our birthday celebrations, 9-year anniversary, 10-year anniversary of the gym, and other celebratory type events, and getting all that good feedback and people saying like, man, you guys would really do great if you had some good coffee on this side of town, because we don't want to go all the way across town and go to his location. So hearing that over and over, and Brent always pushing us as like, reinvent the wheel. Yeah. How can we be unique? How can we be different?
What's the next thing?
So this was the next thing with Ben's food program and his kitchen. Like, how can we have a multi-use kitchen instead of just cooking classes, instead of just having people learn cutlery or different food groups or this or that? Like, let's see how much use we can really get out of it. And just talking to Matt and building that relationship with him, he's always been a go-getter, and obviously his coffee empire is growing over the last 5 or 6 years. So, he was obviously pushing me slightly, we've done really well in West U, and I think, you should push for something greater. Mm-hmm. And with Brent and Matt and all these connections and Ben and Blake, it all just started to finally make sense and come together. Like, let's see what we could do here.
You don't have to suck up because you're on the podcast.
Hey, I just want to come back, guys, all right? I'm guaranteeing my spot.
That's fair. You're more than welcome. But I think, too, what you said is, like, you had those trial runs where you had, we did the celebratory deals where they came in and catered. You established trust with the consumer. And so it's like you almost create a demand unknowingly. And so as you kind of look at it, it's like, I would liken it to like a chess match, where it's like every move you're making, it's purposeful, whether or not you realize it. And so it kind of brings around awareness. And so what I would tell somebody is like, if you're doing things, make sure you're doing things with purpose, because you never know, like down the road that could come back and bite you in the butt, or it could be one of those things where, all of a sudden people are like, man, it'd be really great if you guys had a coffee shop, because you're serving coffee here, you're catering it. It'd be awesome if I could walk after my workout and go get coffee. Like, you've set that up and you've almost created the thirst and the need for a product just by being purposeful and serving clients. And I think that that's an incredible thing to do.
And I think what you just said right there, Ben, was perfect, because think about, James not knowing that this is even going to happen from every person he meets, whether he's training, or just outside friends. But think about just the people that we're training. We made those connections. We kept that connection going. I mean, most of the people that you've been training for at least 2-3 years now. And it's like you never knew what was going to come out of that relationship. It wasn't like, okay, because, again, you didn't have that end goal of starting a coffee shop. But because you had that rapport, you created that rapport with those clients, now they trust you with whatever avenue you choose to take.
That's true.
Nice use.
These are things I've never thought about, so...
Well, it's important, because I think it makes you more purposeful, and it makes the things that you do, you get to create a positive impact every time. So we do these 30-minute sessions. You come in and you have a 30-minute opportunity to build a relationship with somebody. And so when you do that, and they come in 2 to 3 times a week, you're establishing like a much greater relationship than just training. You turn into a therapist, and all of a sudden when they start coming in and you're like, hey, we got coffee, all of a sudden you're the guy that they establish the relationship. Like, all right, he knows coffee. So then when we started selling beans, they're going to go up to you and say, hey, what kind of beans should I get? What flavor profile? And then all of a sudden you turn into Java James. Like you go that way, and it's almost like it started unknowingly. But the fact that you show up and you're positive in every engagement is key, because how many times do you think you can burn a bridge and you don't ever know it?
So exactly what you just said. Think about it as, that first time that client comes in, I like to think of, you don't get a second chance, right? So you've got one chance to, impress, try to get some kind of trust, some kind of rapport going with that first time you meet with that person. And I think that's something always to kind of keep in the back of your head.
Definitely.
Yeah, and it's you can do that from a business aspect. You can do it from a relationship standpoint. I mean, you think about it. If you're a friend with a lady or a guy or whatever it is, and like you're moving forward, and so you never know what that might blossom into. Maybe 10 years later you guys find love. Who cares? Whatever it is. But it's just every relationship, every time that you have an opportunity to be in front of somebody, it's to be fully present. I think there's so many like lessons we can take from all of this stuff, just from standing in a coffee shop with an ice maker going on every now and then. But it's you can take all of this and apply it to any aspect of life. It's just to understand the importance of being present within that relationship, and then the course of the relationship over time.
For sure.
I like it. Got to have the respect for the person, got to be a good listener, and try to find that, common ground with every relationship.
I think nowadays, if you're just engaged with that person, that goes a long way, because people are so kind of disoriented with the social media and all this stuff, that attention span is getting shorter and shorter. So whether you're in the coffee shop for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, but they're like, man, that flew by, that was such a good experience, I learned something about coffee, I've got a great cup in my hands, or within the first 5 minutes of training, I'm already feeling good and happier about my mood, just because this person is actually listening and hearing what I have to say. And that can work, like you guys said, from the business sense of things to the service side to anything, really.
I think the coffee shop embodies that. I mean, like you're mentioning, it's and being in here, obviously, I do a lot of work in the coffee shop or in the back office. It's adjoining it, and so I hear a lot of the conversations, and the conversations that are taking place amongst random people or people that are coming in together, or just even conversations that they're having with the baristas. Like it's incredible, because you see relationships all around, and it's just like, it makes me start wondering, like, I wonder what can come out of this down the road. A big thing for us here at the gym is like connecting clients. You think about that, like how can we find that common ground? And I think that's a question I'm going to pose to you guys, is what are some effective ways in which you think you can establish a common ground or establish a similarity, that you guys could then build upon? Like, what are some key takeaways?
I mean, I think first thing for me is you have to, of course, first listen. You have to listen to what they're saying, And what is it that one thing that was just said that you say like, oh, my next client, I know that they also do this, or they have a child, say at this school. That's that connection. That's how you connect those clients together. And what the coolest thing is when those people leave and you see them walking out the door talking to each other when they did not know each other when they first came in. That's when you've made a difference. And again, they're still engaged as they leave the place, right? And that's kind of what I love about this coffee shop is we're keeping these people engaged in this small coffee shop. You see, this person, they don't train with each other, but yet now they're talking with a cup of coffee in their hand. That's what I see the Avenu Coffee doing.
For sure. I'd say it's, like we said about the engagement, is can you hold up your end of the deal? Like, are you going to follow through? Many times, like, oh, I know a guy, I'll connect you with them, or I'll email you, or I'll text you.
Follow through.
Follow through. A lot of times the follow through is where things fall through the cracks. Like, can you actually hold up your end of the deal and come through with things? And a lot of times you'd be surprised what those kind of balloon into as far as relationships or connections. And, oh man, this guy gave me a job just because I sent him someone in this direction or the other, and now great things are happening. And trust me now.
It's never immediate either, or it doesn't have to be immediate. It's down the road sometimes. It's not going to happen the next day. So it's always thinking of every relationship, what can you make that relationship? How can you keep that relationship going?
And I think too, like you just talked about following through. I'm gonna take that and add to it because one of the things that, at least I like to think, it helped me get this job, and that Brent and Cass are the owners of this place. And so what it came down to it is like, I had my interview here. I went home and I immediately sent an email. I was like, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And I followed through on that end. But I want to add on to that and say, go above and beyond. And so like you had mentioned, Blake, it's like going forward and then really, truly, like you listen and then you connect. And so making sure maybe you walk both of those people down to the coffee shop. Maybe you do something that is out of the normal and out of the basic expectation that they have, because all of a sudden you stand out. And then if you stand out, they're going to trust you more because they're going to believe in everything. So I think those are awesome keys and awesome takeaways.
Very nice.
Yeah, I don't even know where to go after that.
I don't either.
Should we just stop it right then and there?
We're going to cap it at that greatness.
And done.
Can we drop this mic, or is that dangerous for it?
It's well, you bought it, so you tell me.
Oh, jeez. This is the first time I've gotten to use it, so is it warmed up? Probably?
It's warm. It's we make sure it's.
We've broken her in.
We tuck it away every night on a pillow. Has a good time. No, but I think honestly though, they take those pointers and really truly like write them down, and you can even pause this and we'll wait and we'll come back. But I really want you to make sure that you're doing those things we just said, where it comes to listen, be engaged, follow through, and go above and beyond. And that doesn't matter. Like, it could be with your wife.
It can be super simple too.
Smallest things turn into the biggest things.
Handwritten thank you notes.
I mean, we do that. Birthday cards, handwritten thank you notes after the first session. It's something very small. And it actually does go a long way, because we have our clients that walk back into the door saying, hey, we really do appreciate that.
Because how many times do you get handwritten notes anymore? It just doesn't happen. Yeah. It's all bills and automized terrible things that are coming at you from a computer keyboard. And if you get the personal touch, and it could take you a minute, just do it, because it's going above and beyond.
Even if you have bad handwriting.
Especially if you have bad handwriting.
I'm left-handed, that's my excuse, but still you got to do it.
What the heck?
We should fix that. You should become right-handed.
And I like personally just getting the more feedback I can get from someone. I always ask them questions. How do you feel? How's your day going? How's your week going?
Open-ended questions.
Open-ended questions.
Yeah.
What's going on? With the family, this and that. Just the more I can get them talking, the more arsenal I have to work with.
Exactly.
And I can plug and chug accordingly and make sure I get that engagement. I want them to buy in. As far as I trust this guy.
It's one of those things. Was it Dale Carnegie who had wrote the 7 Habits or 7 Things to Win Friends, something like that. I can't think of the book off the top of my head. But one thing that I always took from that, my mom stressed me all the time. She's like, people love to talk about themselves, and it's just like we're selfish creatures by nature. We love talking about ourselves, and so like you just said, is ask questions, and then don't just ask a yes or no.
Ask open-ended questions.
Open-ended.
Yep, and they go. You'll get a lot out of that 10-minute talk as well. If you start asking the right type of questions, which is those open-ended type.
And I'll say too, it's like, especially in the training world, is when I was training, and even from the food perspective, instead of asking like these simple, hey, do you eat this food? Do you do this? All of a sudden, if you get into like, hey, why is it that you do this? And then the stories that I've been able to hear from clients' perspectives are incredible. And we've met some fantastic people like Ron coming back from stage 4 cancer, like all of this cool stuff that you get to get from that person and build that relationship. It starts with an open-ended question that establishes trust, and then you can build upon that as you go.
I'm going to leave y'all with a quote. No interaction with another individual is neutral. It's either for better or worse. You choose. That's Conrad and Susan Potts.
Thanks, Conrad.
Thank you, Conrad and Susan.
Yeah, I think that's huge. It's you get to choose how you show up to anything, and I tell people, like, and myself, is you're 50% of the relationship, so therefore you get to put in 50% of the work. Even if they won't, maybe you can go above and beyond, do 65. Who knows? But just say that, like, when you met Matt, you could have been a complete jerk, or he could have been a complete jerk, but you take that relationship, you nurture it, you let it grow, and then all of a sudden, you know, I'm sure, like you said, you didn't know it was going to happen, but
He's going to be in your wedding all of a sudden.
Possibly. We'll
congrats,
see.
Ashley.
He's a busy guy nowadays.
Now Matt's going to be mad if he's not in the wedding.
Oh, right. Don't tell him. We won't let him tune into the podcast.
I'm going to tag him in it on Facebook.
Fair enough.
And I'm going to leave you with a quote.
Oh, man. I'm the only one who didn't come prepared with a quote
Wait
today.
a second.
Thanks, Joe.
I had a story, at least.
That's true. So my quote is an African proverb. So it is...
Digging deep for this one.
Yeah. Well, I got it from Simon Sinek, so he's a smart guy. To go fast, go alone. To go far, go together. And I think, too, it's like... We strive to have these relationships with people. We get very upset. Like, they affect our lives in so many ways. And we all obviously want to show up the best we possibly can. And we're social creatures. Like, we want to be able to interact with people. Hell, we have a podcast, you know, with 2 of us. Now we got James in here talking, telling his story. But it's a beautiful thing to be able to take lessons and to build upon these relationships. And then who knows, in that chess match, where it's going to turn. And, you know, I will say, like, the idea of having this kitchen, I was a little selfish about it. But to see what it's turned into and what it has the possibility, because, you know, the coffee shop can then lead into other opportunities down the road. So it's like, it's always understanding and being open to ideas and possibilities is key.
Never take the journey alone.
Nope. James, any parting words as on your first go around on this Yeti mic?
Parting words.
Wisdom.
There's so much to think about. This whole process has been, like I said, a self-reflection for me. So I haven't really kind of sat down and thought about what really has transpired over the last couple of years with Matt and I personally, with you guys and myself, with the training side of things and the whole coffee shop development. So just listen to the list of to-dos as far as following through, staying organized, and the whole bit, engagement and whatnot. And I think you'll definitely reach success. And just remember that it's a long-term investment.
Glad you said that.
Very good. Yep.
Because that's what I was about to follow up with. It is a long-term. Everything is a long-term play. Life is a long-term play. I got nothing else.
That was great. Thank you, James. Appreciate
You got it. Thanks for having me, guys.
I'm sure we'll have you on again.
Yeah, so if you guys are in Houston, we're going to plug the coffee shop, dude.
Yeah.
That's why you're
Plug
here.
it. There
Is
you
this
go.
the first plug?
Yeah.
It's like the Jimmy Fallon show, except better, of course. Well, guys, make sure you come down to West U and come see our coffee shop at 6207 Edlow Street. So we are teamed up with Boomtown Coffee, some of the best coffee in town, so says the press around here. It's a very unique space. We're trying to combine the quality of coffee with convenience. So definitely come out and check us out.
Is there any social media that people can find you on?
We've got Instagram, Avenu Coffee, and we also have our Facebook, of course, Avenu Coffee.
And I'll tag that too in the show notes, so that way you can just click on that and go and find them.
We need Yelp reviews. Come on, guys.
And never forget 2 dragons.
#2dragons. All right, see you guys.